Hi everyone, it's Kelly from Kellie's Bead Boutique. So one of the things that I like to do is to use repetitive parts. And there's kind of a couple of reasons. One is because I always have an abundance of certain things in the store. But two is that I like to show you that you can have the same part and make something completely different with it. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to use some of the same parts that I used in a pair of earrings a few weeks back. And I'm going to show you how to completely change how they look. So if you want to see what I'm making, come and join me. Okay, so today we're going to be using some 22 gauge craft wire. We'll also be using some 26 gauge craft wire. I have a couple of these little discs, a pair of ear wires, a couple jump rings, some 3mm fire polish, and those are the rings that I used in the project a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to show you how to use them completely differently today. And as far as tools, we're going to be using our 4 basic ones, which are our chain nose pliers, our bent chain nose, our round nose pliers, and our flush cutters. So let's get started. The first thing I did was cut about 14 inches of our 26 gauge craft wire. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my beads and move them forward here. And I'm going to take the end of my wire and I'm going to place it down through the loop. And I want to put about an inch on the other side. That just gives me something to hold on to. So don't worry about that one getting all kinked up because it's going to get cut off at the end anyway. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start wrapping my wire. So I want to wrap this around nice and tight, and I don't want to get any kinks in this. So you'll see what I do is I kind of pull it with my thumb and my first finger there, and then I push it through and I pop it through with my finger, and that helps stop any kinking. So there's one wrap and 2 wraps and 3 wraps. And again, don't worry about it being really tight and close because we're going to sort of fix all that up at the end. Okay, so now I'm going to take one of my little 3mm fire polish and I'm going to run that on the 26 gauge wire. So what I want to do now is I want to take that bead and I want to place it on top of the frame, and it's going to be on a little tiny bit of an angle, which is fine. Now, so I'm going to scoosh that up there as far as I can next to the 3 wraps that I did. Now I'm going to wrap twice in between. So I'm going to take that and push it through, and I'm holding it nice and tight. So there's once and there's twice. So you can see I've got my first couple wraps, my bead on a little bit of an angle, and then my 2 wraps. So now I want to make sure that I'm all the way through, and then I'm going to place on my next bead. You always want to start your putting your beads on in the same position, so you're going to have your wire sort of towards you. So now I'm going to place that on top, and again it's on a little tiny bit of an angle. So push that through. There's once and there's twice, and I'm going to go all the way through. So I'll get my fingers out of the way so you can see how I've got 2 together there. Okay, so now I'm going to take my next bead and repeat. So I sort of pull it down to make sure it's nice and straight. If you do have to pull it through, I recommend using round nose pliers. Don't use your regular pliers. These have got a nice soft edge on them so you can pull through like that. But I just tend to use my fingers on this because then I can smooth the wire out if I need to. So there's once and there's twice, and pull that all the way through. Now we're down to our next bead, our 4th one. Put that on top. Now you can turn these so that the Apollo finish is showing. I like to kind of mix it up a little bit. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you like to do. That's the nice thing about these beads is they have a little bit of a different finish on each side. So you can have them mixed up, or you can have them all plain, whatever you'd like to do. So there's once and there's twice. And now I'm going to put on my last bead. Okay, so we're just going to put that over top, and now I'm going to wrap 3 times. So getting that nice and snug, I'm going to wrap once, twice, and 3 times. So pull that through. So now you can see I've got my beads going on the outside, and they're going to be facing this way when you're wearing them. So it looks a little awkward to show you this way, but that's what they're going to look like. So now I'm going to start working back the other way. I want to make sure that I wrap around here at least twice. What I'm trying to do is work towards that bead. So there's once and there's twice. If you want to do 3 times, you can. I'll stick 3 in there. Excuse all the motorcycles and racket out there. It's very noisy out there today. Okay, so now I'm going to be wrapping around clockwise around these beads. So I'm going to take my wire. I always want to be starting when I'm on the inside here. I'm going to wrap nice and tight and low on the bead. So you can see I sort of bring it around and go as low as I can on the bead, and I go around twice, 2 full wraps like that, and then I want to make sure that I go to the top of the bead and then I bring it through again. So and then I'm going to wrap twice. So I'm going to wrap once and twice. So now I'm on the inside here, so I'm going to wrap around the bead. So I'm going to go around, going as low as I can, and then come back around nice and low, and then I want to bring it around right to the top and then push it through. So you're going around completely 2 full times and then 2 times in between. So now we're going to go around, and if your wire pops off, that just means that it's sitting up a little too high, so just pull it back and bring it down a little bit. So now I'm going to go up to around to the front and then pop it through and go around twice. There's once and there's twice. So now I'm going to try and turn it this way so you can see. So I'm going to go around that bead and I'm bringing it nice and low, and then back around and then all the way to the top, and then run it through the middle there. And go once and twice. And then I'm going to finish my last one off. So I'm going to go around once, twice, and then we're going to wrap 3 times at the end. And I'm pulling fairly tight on this. I want to make sure that this wire is nice and snug and nice and neat and tidy. Okay, so I always want to end on the inside, so I'm not going to worry about this one right now. I'll show you what to do here. I'm going to take the flush side of my cutters and come in and just trim that wire off. And then I'm going to take my pliers and pull back this other piece of wire. Now this one's already been sort of encapsulated underneath that other wire, so you can kind of trim this wherever you want, but I like to have it on the inside. So now we're going to have 2 burrs to deal with. So I have this one that I just cut here. So I just want to take the very end of my pliers and kind of push that around, and then I'm going to take this one and kind of make sure it's going right inside. And I'm not squishing hard because I don't want to damage those wraps that I did, and I don't want to change the structure of this. So I'll just move these so you can see what we've got here now. So you can see we've got 5 beads, and they've got their wraps around each one of them. And it's got kind of a nice organic look on the side. Now what you want to make sure is that your last wrap here is just almost like at the halfway point, which is where this one is. If it's a little bit over, you can just kind of pull it back. It's it does move a little bit, like I can move it up that way if I want, but I want to have this right about there so that when I put my little dangle on, it's hanging right there. So that's what we're looking for, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take about 5 inches of my 22 gauge craft wire, and I'm going to create some wrapped loops. So I'm going to go about 1/3 of the way down. I'm going to bend that wire away from me, and I'm going to go about halfway up my round nose pliers. Now I'm going to go up and over and straight down, open up my pliers until they're parallel to the table, and then I'm going to pull that I'm going to pull that wire straight to the back. And then I just want to make sure that this is all nice and even. Now I want to run this on the bottom part, not the top. You can tell the difference between the bottom and the top because the bottom's right at the halfway point. So I want to just sort of open that up with my nail a bit, and then I'm going to wrap this up. So I'm going to do sort of a chunkier wrap today, so I'm going to go around once, twice, and then I want to go back up. So I'm going to go once and twice. So all I'm doing is making a bit of a bulky wrap. And I'm really noticing how bad my hands look right now. I've been not very kind to them lately, so please excuse how unmanicured they look. It's not very good when you have close-ups of your hands and they look terrible, but you know, that's life right now. So all right, so that's what we've got right now. So now I'm going to place on my little bead. Now I want to make sure that I'm going the different directions. So I want to have my wire going the opposite to this one. So I'm going to turn it this way because we're going to be actually wearing it like that. So, but I don't want to put this, do not ever put your pliers right on top of that bead because it'll crack the bead. Now I'll give you a couple extra in your kit if you choose to buy them, but you want to make sure that we're doing this with our hands. So what I do is I just bend it away, and then you can grab hold of this like that and see how that's kind of a little bit off center there. So I'm just going to bring it around so now it's nicely center. So I just don't want to use my tools on my beads because these are really small and they're glass. So I'm going to make another wrap loop, up, over, down. And now you're going to notice that this one's really off center like that. So all I do is I just pull that up to the right, and then you can bring the little arm down, and that's just realigning it. So now I want to put it in the end of my little sort of disc thing that I've got here. And just before I put it in, I'm going to open up that just a little bit so that it doesn't misshape the wire. And again, I'm going to wrap this up nice and neat. So I'm going to go straight across there, and I'm going to wrap around once or twice and then go back up. And on this end, you can usually only get maybe 2 wraps. That's kind of about all you get. So just make sure they're nice and bulky and neat. If you want that super messy look, that's fine. You go with whatever works for you. All right, so now I'm going to take my my pliers, and I'm just going to tuck that little burr down ever so slightly. Again, I don't want to damage anything, but I don't want to have anything sharp there. Okay, so this is what we've got happening now. And the reason I use that larger loop is so that it can kind of fit over the end, because when we've got them on, it sort of looks a bit, it's hard to tell because of the way you have to hold, I have to hold it for you, but it ends up looking like just a little row of beads like this. So now we have to reorient this whole piece, because the other way that I made them with the other kit, they went in this direction, but I'm going to have them this direction when they're on your ears. So I need to reorient them with a pair, or with some jump rings here. So I'm going to put one just by opening it back and forth like this, and pop that on, and now I'm going to do it back up, and I want to get it till it, sometimes you have to sort of get on top of it like that, but I want to just kind of jiggle it until it's nice and closed. And then I'm going to put my ear wire on. So in these ones you can just kind of run through the end, and then you just push that little ball towards the back there. So I'm just going to make the next one, and then I will show you all the different kits that I have. So here's the 3 different kits that I have available. So these are all in the Apollo finishes. So the way that they're going to be on your ear is this way, and it's really hard to show how cute they are when they're on. They hang so nicely, but of course they look sort of goofy in my hands like this. But this is the matte Apollo umber, kind of a nice sort of smoky red. And then we have the matte Apollo jet, which is black with the metallic color on there. And then the one that I was doing here is the turquoise, matte turquoise Apollo. So these ones are really pretty on. Again, if I could show them to you properly, I mean, that's probably the best way that I can show you. They look so cute because it looks like a little waterfall of beads there, and they're really, really pretty and super lightweight. And these ones are only $7.99 if you decide to buy the kit, so they're super affordable. And I think you guys are going to really like them. It's kind of fun to play with wire a little bit and do something a little out of your comfort zone if you've never done something like this. So I hope you give it a try. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. I love to hear from everybody. Let me know how you're doing. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please make sure that you do so. I want to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.